Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. And this is about the second rabbit hole I fell into while looking for a 21 horsepower motor for this thing through my collection here at the Horde. So this is the Kohler version. Enjoy the video. So a bunch of years ago, God, it must be approaching 10, maybe even more now, a friend gave me this tractor. Obviously a Sears Craftsman, and this guy died of a bad hydrostatic in the back. It just didn't move, and he was really cranky about that because he had not had this tractor all that long. As a matter of fact, his lawn was relatively small, and I think it was still on the first oil change. It really wasn't used much at all. So hopefully it didn't fill up with mice and seize up. The cylinder isn't frozen anyway. So yeah, we got to drag this out of here. And I think it's just time to part it out, quite honestly. You know, grab the hood and a few other things and just kind of get rid of the overall tractor anyway, right? With the bad hydrostatic, right? It doesn't move. No use keeping the carcass floating around once the engine's gone. Time to haul the Craftsman out of the buckwheat here. Thank God. The Honda 4Trax 300 is always willing to work. It's nice having a machine that I don't have to re-engineer every time I want to use it. There were a couple of ways to remove a hood. I figured I'd go with the most direct here. By the way, this hood is actually made out of metal, which is kind of nice. Hood off, battery out. Now let's see what this rig has to offer. Well, it's good. Spiders, but no mice. See any mice in there. Maybe I escaped without a stinking engine. I took out all the perimeter bolts. There were quite a few hiding in here. So yeah, we have a little mouse action. It doesn't look horrible. It's got a plastic flywheel. I really don't want to break things. Well, I gotta clean that mouse nest out. God, I hate mice. I really hate them. And you know, that ammonia, I hope it didn't lock up the valves or anything. You know, sometimes you deal with junk, and what you have when you're done is junk. And I'm beginning to look at this. It makes me want to contact my buddy Stoney and say, yo, Stoney, what do you have in the 20 horsepower engine range, and see what kind of deal he could give me, because God, dealing with all this junk, it's just junk. Oh yeah, we have a whole mess cooking here. Alright, what I did is I pulled a pile of pins, right, and gradually just dropped the deck to the ground. My son gave me a hand lifting the tractor up. Boy, in the old days, I used to pick up the front and get it on the back of the truck or the van or whatever I was driving, and then go around to the back and lift it by the seat and just, you know, heave ho and throw the thing into the truck or van. I didn't even attempt it. I said, yo, while you're here, do me a favor, give me a hand. This is a little better tractor, and I guess some of you will debate that. I happen to think the electronic clutch for the mower deck is a good thing. You guys remember this thing actually died of a dead hydro. It just wouldn't move. They brought it in for repairs. The person who looked at it said two things. I can't work on the hydro. I really don't know how. And to replace the hydro, it's going to basically cost you as much as the whole tractor is worth. Then this thing sat for a while, then it was given to me. Anyway, it looks like it'd be a good idea to take the hydrostatic off before I attempt to take the engine off. No big deal, right? These two bolts here gets the bracket out of the way. This bolt here, normally these clutches come off without too much trouble. I say that kind of crossing my fingers as I do. And then there's 4 bolts and the engine pops off. Before I go through the trouble of pulling the engine from this thing, I do want to make sure that I can turn it over and it's going to start. Just offhand, I'd be surprised if the spark coil's alive on this one also, right? That huge mouse nest in here is just not helpful. The fins don't look as corroded as they were on the Briggs & Stratton, and I don't know if you guys saw the Briggs & Stratton video or not, but hopefully we'll get this thing to be able to fire up, at least on starting fluid. To get this crankshaft bolt out, it's 5/8. I find that typically just tapping that a number of times seems to break them loose. If not, I'll have to go get my hammer gun, my impact wrench, and get it off that way. Sure enough, a couple of dozen whacks later, right, she came right out. Spin it right off, finger tight. I have a little bit of experience with these, and it seems as if the clutches normally come off pretty easily. So let's hope this one does not disappoint. Wow, not only did the clutch come right off, but the backing pulley did also. Do yourself a favor, get this unclipped, right? Get the wires off of that, or cut those wires, because if it drops, you can end up breaking it. I don't know, these things are $150, give or take a foot and a half. Why destroy a clutch? You don't have to. From here to get the engine loose, I'm within 4 bolts and some cables, so that's real easy. Maybe some plumbing also. So I'm going to get the clutch out of here. I think I'm going to break those loose while it's standing up, though now with the mower deck off, it should be a lot easier to lift. Yeah, this is coming apart easier than I thought. Some of them, everything is just rusted and they're a bear to play with. This one is moving along without too much trouble. I dropped the deck mainly to get these belts off. So the belts, the clutch, all that stuff is off. Now the engine could spin free, and we're getting closer to starting it. First of all, you got to go through a couple of cycles just to make sure it's going to turn right with no clang and bang. This is overhead valve, so if the valves are hanging up, right, you really don't want the engine to go around and hit them. So anyway, it seems to turn around with no issues. From an oil point of view, she seems to have plenty. As a matter of fact, the oil looks really nice. Supposedly, once again, this thing has a blown up hydrostatic, and the engine was primo, like 40 hours, not even to the first oil change. So I think I'm going to put some juice to the electric starter, and let's see if this goes round. The plug is in it. Sounds like it's got compression and all that wonderful stuff. I'm going to give it a hoot of starting fluid. Let's see if this thing fires up. I don't know if this all survived. I mean, the mouse nest is out, but I'm trying to figure out before I put all the time into taking those covers off and cleaning it up if this is a live engine or a dead one. Alright, drum pack on starter. That's the off wire, so I disconnected that. Open circuit means I should have spark plug wires attached. It all looks good. I'm just going to give it a little hoot of this. And now let's see what it does. Ah, it has life. Hang on. Getting the carburetor off, easy enough, right? Air cleaner, and then those two bolts, and I think it just slips right out. I didn't check online to see if they offer a clone for this thing. As a matter of fact, I could probably leave that on, just take these bolts off and the whole thing will slip off. So this is wearing that Walbro carburetor. It's, you know, plenty nasty enough. I've seen worse, but you know, I don't know. So I'm going to jet solvent through there, and I don't know if you guys could see it. There's a little hole there. I'll jet solvent through. I'll get this needle valve idle adjuster mixture valve out. I'll jet solvent through all the holes. Hopefully we can bring it back. Once again, I didn't check to see if there's a alternative. I guess I could do that too. I'd like to get this thing started and then make some decisions. Alright, so hacking a start on this thing is a little more work than most. You have to put 12 volts to the solenoid there, or the carburetor's turned off. You're not giving it any gas and it won't start. So I hooked that up, but I want to use the same jump pack to hit the starter so you guys could see I put a little extension on there. Obviously the carburetor is rebuilt and I'm using an umbilical on it. The throttle and choke are hooked back up. It uses a one lever system for that right now. It's on choke. So I'm going to kind of be dancing around a little bit. I attempted to mess with the key switch, which appears to be messed up currently. So I can't just turn the key and power the whole tractor up. That's not working. And once again, I still have this disconnected, which is the off for the ignition. So once it starts, it'll run until it's out of gas. It has a little more than a bowl full, so it shouldn't take too horribly long. I think you guys could see the meniscus right there. So the bowl is filled plus that, so it'll run for somewhere around a minute, 30 to 90 seconds. Anyway, let me set up the camera and then we'll give this a shot. Let me just double check the oil. You know, it'd be a shame to do all this work and then blow up the engine. Before I can run it for any amount of time, by the way, I have to clean up all that mouse poop and corrosion due to the urine. So, you know, mice are really a pest in my life. Okay, hopefully y'all can see everything important. Now we're on. I heard the relay click. You guys might not have. Trying. There we go. It starts and it runs. Well, as you know now, I have a possibility of 2 motors to put into this thing. I can put in that 12.5 horsepower Briggs or that 17 horsepower Kohler. The Kohler is a little enchanting because it's got a few more horsepower and it's a little closer to what this thing originally had in it. The 12.5 horsepower Briggs is enchanting because I just happen to really like that motor. So anyway, let me know what you guys think, and in the next video where you see this thing, we'll be throwing that motor into it. Thanks for watching and commenting and subscribing. Please remember, feet down, heads up, and get out and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.